Hi everyone, Alfred Angelo here, and I want to talk about the space between your ears. You can call them mind matters and things you might want to focus on to be a more capable, resourceful entrepreneur. And some of the things which make entrepreneurs successful in their thinking, like the great book by James Allen, As a Man Thinketh, because thinking like a true entrepreneur is where it all begins. There's a classic conflict between two thoughts. One is being an entrepreneur and the other is being a business owner. Then they're not really the same thing. And a lot of people who are business owners, and the way they became business owners is because they were great technicians in a field of their expertise, and maybe after a while they realized they could probably make more money working for themselves rather than an employer. So they went out and started a business in their field or trade, which they really do, and they do it well, but they find that they really don't have the business know-how, the business acumen to really take their company to a higher level. And they really only end up working as an employee in their own company. So there's a big difference between that and being an entrepreneur. So what we can do is we can do our best in elevating our thinking, because that's where the real difference is. It's in the thinking. And how do you make that transition from just being a business owner to truly being an entrepreneur, truly understanding how to grow your business and make it as a substantial wealth creation generator? Now, the typical business owner will generally see themselves as a doer, a person who takes their resources, their life savings, and invests it in a business and builds it over time around the knowledge of their trade or profession. And the one thing to separate or define clearly between this business owner and entrepreneur is it's not your job to invest in your business. It's, as an entrepreneur, that's not your job. Your job is you don't really want to risk your life savings. You don't want to have your resources all tied up in the business. What you do is, if you were to tie it up, you risk crashing and burning very fast. Wearing many hats and also having all your resources tied up, you really risk crashing and burning. Essentially, your job as an entrepreneur is to orchestrate your time, your capital, and your energy of other people to make your vision, make the vision of the business you have in mind a reality. And this is the huge paradigm shift you need to make. When I go into business or into a business, I get other people to invest in my ventures. I create wins for them. At least I always aim to. And incentives, I carve them out. Incentives, carve them out of deals. And you make these incentives inside the deal so substantial and so attractive that the people involved in the deal are anxious to put their money into my deals and into my transactions. And this is the mindset that you have to develop as an entrepreneur. Well, I mean, here's an example of the difference between an entrepreneur and their typical support and their advisor, who is usually their accountant. And this is teamwork in action, because these individuals are traditionally polar opposites in their personalities when it comes to ways of assessing risk. I mean, when it comes to personality profiles, there are certain traits to look for which mean as a person you are more suited to being an entrepreneur. So, for example, most people, when they think of accountants, you think of someone who is more analytical in their approach. This is a generalization, because there are always exceptions to the rule, but by and large, accountants tend to be more analytical. They have a high interest in details, facts, concepts, and methods, and they make decisions slowly based on fact and logic, and they tend to seek order out of efficiency. And they have a high aptitude for creating standards, systems, protocols, forms. So they're more orientated to financial details and fact finding, and they're highly risk averse. So this means they value expertise, in themselves and others, and they hate being wrong, and have a high need to save face when they are wrong. And accountants, well, they'll tend to measure success by being busy, which can mean that they're highly prone to procrastination. And this is the personality style which is most likely to suffer from what we call paralysis through analysis. Now, if you can have an internal look around in your mind about people you know who fit this description, you'll see that most of them fit it perfectly. Now, if we go over another typical character trait, there could generally be attributed to entrepreneurs, you might find the complete opposite. I mean, these guys, they tend to be more of a driver personality, more of a controller, a driver who has a high level of passion for their product or service or field. They make decisions quickly based on fact and logic. They are able to work in an unsettled environment where the ground shifts constantly under your feet. They have a general, dislike for details, and they're always looking for the big picture and the bottom line. And they're more orientated to push sales growth with less emphasis on making cost savings. And they're more open to risk-taking and don't mind being wrong, can turn on a dime or penny, pivot easily while measuring progress by results, but not necessarily activity. So not just being busy for busy's sake. And they'll lack patience and want things done like yesterday. So if you can contrast the two personality styles, you start to see that the entrepreneur has a certain type of personality and sets and traits that make it easy for them, just by their personality style, to jump into new situations, unlock problems, meet solutions to problems, fix them quickly, and then just move things forward, as opposed to, say, the characteristics of an advisor or an accountant who most of businesses go to for advice on making business decisions, which I think is interesting. So why do you think this would be really important to think about? Well, it's because if you are an entrepreneur and you never go to your accountant to seek their advice, the chances are you are never going to pay attention to details. You're not going to be structured and have forms and standards for your business that you need to have. So as a result, the chances of you ever scaling your business or they're going to be less. So it takes the traits of both personalities looking into your business to really make the best decisions out of mutual respect for one another, where you can move the business forward. So just these are just some ideas to think about, especially when you are building a dream team to support the business structure that of your business. The entrepreneur, they still have to be the driver, the main driver, but the analytical people are always, how do you say, they're always retracing the steps and filling in blanks as the business moves forward. Now, the reason I think this is doubly important is it presents an opportunity for you to put key people in place by design and watch the magic happen as the personalities meld together. And if the personalities are working to their strengths, and the entrepreneur they might find that they're more effective doing what they do naturally. So on the flip side, if you happen to be an analytical person and feel like you need to grow your business, then partnering with an entrepreneur personality could propel you to greater heights. You never know. So for more tools and resources, go to www.sagetactics.com. This is Alfred Angelo for Sage Tactics, representing National Diversified Funding Corporation.